Dad, can you read me a bedtime story? Okay, dear. You all tucked in? Yeah. Okay, here we go. They say the revolution will not be televised. What they mean is the Cultural Revolution will not be televised or broadcast or shown on your phone. And then you'll be locked in your rented home where you will be nothing and there will be nothing you own. But they did show you the prequels to these evils, and they did tell you what they are doing, and they did warn you, and they also knew there was nothing you would or could really do to stop them. Well, if we could, we would have by now. But they had you all chasing fake paper and binging on brainwashing, and now they have completed their near 100-year plan to dominate all of man, and as overlords over all humans. And these were the keys to their plan. But you all just sat back and ran in circles, jerking each other off over a cough. And scoffed at any reasonable reason to shout treason, as it was out of season to believe them, and anyone that did was called a conspiracy theorist pig, despite them being the realest form of alarm. If we had listened, we might have armed ourselves and had a chance to push back, but now the attack is a full blacked out sack, as you all sat back and most laughed, ha ha ha, and denied the truth, as their legacy mainstream proof has always been adorned by the hoof. It's the devious devil's way. He says what he will do and then does it. But you don't believe it. You're a skeptic, a non-believer. You need to read and see and feel and hear, and then still you question the reality of the mirror and let fear steer. As is clear here, the tail does not wag the dog, and you don't pray to God or believe in the signs. These are the end of times. But you don't have to or won't believe my rhymes, and that's fine. You're already so far behind the times and lines, it's beyond divine design. It's an inverted sublime. We in steep decline. So you don't have to believe these rhymes. But how about some of the deceit online? They've taken over every arm of your organization, every tact and tentacle of your operation. They control the banks and tanks and all ranks in executive, legislative, and judicial. Every arm from official to artificial. Everything in ring that's beneficial from superficial to sacrificial. The spiritual, the virtual, from ethereal to material. Ministerial, managerial, from imperial to bacterial. Too late to be adversarial or make an appeal. They have stolen everything you can steal. And this is for real. Armed troops on the subway in New York. Life in prison for free speech in Canada. Thought pre-crime accusations by anonymous people punishable by life in prison with unwarranted search and seizure of all assets, property, financial records with a $10 million fine or 6% gross of global revenue, whichever is more. 3 years in jail and 70 grand for talking about mRNA in France. Unwarranted police raids and seizures of personal property in Ireland. The ban of social media in North America. DEI ideology is destroying all meritocracy. News
The
around the
sharing
world.
of biased
and
False news has become all too common on social media. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Echo chamber of the same script. Rigged elections, controlling and stealing your right to vote. Illegal immigration occupation of your nations being supported and funded by your government. 320,000 illegals flown in from around the world, delivered directly to major U.S. cities, each handed a cell phone and a hotel home, told to await their next instructions. A planned, scammed insurrection set up by the deep state to be used as a Trojan horse to usher in more laws for further protection. Online harms laws passed to control all narratives with lifetime penalties for crimes not yet committed. Words being weaponized to justify injustice. Medical technology being made in bioweapons labs. Medical products causing massive health problems and sudden death. The death count equation being edited and altered to disallow 2/3 of the numbers simply by reducing reality, by rewriting calculations. Nations at civil war within their own borders. Uprisings against the regime. Man against machine. U.S. Air Force airmen setting themselves on fire in protest against war. Farmers bought out and forced out by formulating new policies that prevent them from production. Gaslighting gas to pass more electric vehicles that are known and now shown to emit 3 times the price and emissions. And that keeps you curtailed to the city limits. 15-minute city zones, barricades and borders physically and digitally being erected and protected. armed digital AI dogs walking the streets, broadcasting orders and body scans. Technology so advanced, being infused and used to spy on every single keystroke and personal info. The absolute control of all your personal autonomy. Medical, mental, physical, digital, financial. Freedom and free speech rights censored, silenced, and cancelled. Poison-laced, genetically modified, and 3D printed fake food, fluorinated water, turbo cancer, new pathogens, gain-of-function research, rising inflation interest rates, and price hikes, new invented taxes, and bank-at-frozen accounts. Banks run by corrupt corporations of cartel globalists, imposing fees, fines, and interest rates on fraudulent money systems that stole all the gold and uses other people's money to make loans and charge for the lending of it, built on the backs of hard-working taxpayers who are forced into a work-slave relationship by the privately owned Federal Reserve, which is not federal or government-controlled at all, yet all funny money is based on this cartel banking scam. More civic laws enacted to protect the safety of society by prosecuting the citizens' illegal right to public assembly and protest, gender discrimination, racial segregation, sexual reorientation. Affirming care actually means denying who you really are. Government-approved medical assistance in dying for anyone who can't afford to pay their bills. School indoctrination classes teaching lies, hyper over-sexualization of civilization, and early exposure to younger generations, prideful public announcements of what you do privately, threats of self-harm used to promote permanent body mutilation, triggered people portrayed as the victim when they themselves have their finger on the trigger, invented inverted pronouns, language being obliterated to confused communication, truth labeled as misinformation, and misinformation propagated on mainstream media, predictive programming, and planned perpetual propaganda, oversaturation of nations being invaded by illegal immigration, open borders allowing entry of criminals and cartel, reduced birth rates, infertility at an all-time high, microplastics raining in the air, water, and food, cancerous coated contaminants covered in our clothes, cell phones to track your every step and keyword, conversation, and thought, human clones, robot drones, lockdown homes, chemical skies, laser wildfires, weather manipulation, foreign battle stations, more military operations, more weaponization, more funding to faraway nations, more local taxation, forget the homeless population, more scientific creations, more unethical abominations, more equitable nominations, less credit for individual creations, more men as women, and less knowing what a woman can be, less patriarchy, but yet more toxicity. Overlook that irony for more iron fisting, less resisting, more upper class, and ass kissing, more missing of tradition, less family conditions, less spirituality, but more superstition, less reality, and more virtual vision, more separation and division, less mental health for more wealth by incision, less rational decision and more irrational oppositions, more ideology screaming and shouting for biology denying and doubting, more psychopsychology and socialism, sociology taught and bought by the University of Woke Diversity, a joke absurdity for a fraternity of perversity, universally leading to confused, used, and abused, corrupt corporate, new CEOs and NGOs, non-binary ones and zeros, now corporate super rich heroes, overrun by ethos with egos, and there we go, around again, where women are men and men are replacing women, and both sides divide to hate them. Then again, this mess is less debating and more hating, orating, stating the differences between, as opposed to being a team, while being played by the machines and controlled by the regimes. Woke waking from their dreamings to find we're all slaves to their demons. History and heritage, they make you hate them, to deny God because they pray to Satan. They've corrupted and co-opted every part of the world whole. Your infrastructure, your info, they stole. And now they want your soul.
Jeez, Dad, so toxic.
Good night.